I'm out here cleaning out the chicken coop because it's due. And I got the whole thing almost cleaned out. I just need to give it a sweeping. But I've got everything pretty much torn apart right now. And I thought that this would be a good time to do a 2-year review of the new chicken coop. I'm pretty sure it's been 2 years anyway. There's a handful of things that I would change about it, but overall this thing has been really solid, and there's been a few things that have been issues, and there have been a few things that haven't been issues that a lot of folks expected would be. So I'll put the link to the build videos up in the corner. But so the last coop that we had, okay, so the old coop was this thing. This is the base of it anyway, that I bought from some old boy as a goat feeder, who just had like a single upright and then a little tiny roof on that. We enclosed it. So this thing's 3 foot wide, 4 foot long, just basically 2x4. And then I think that we made it was probably about that high. It was about 3 feet high for the area that sat here. And then kind of the same setup as it is now. The chickens would climb up and go inside, and they lived up there. Okay, so going from the other coop to this one, you can see obviously this one's quite a bit larger. This one we did, I think it was 5 foot by 4 foot for the main body of this. And then the nesting box was another 1.5 feet or so on the backside. And when I built this, I built it more like you would frame in a traditional house, where I built a subfloor, so then everything up here was built for a couple reasons. Number one, it needed to be modular because I wasn't going to be able to get it through the door of the coop, or the door of the run, if it was completely built. So it had to be modular so that I could bring it in here and then assemble it inside. So I built it on concrete and then took it apart, brought it in here, and put it all back together. So these walls were just framed out the same way you would frame out a normal house, and stood up, screwed in, and that's that. Let's come around the back. The egg bin, or the nesting box bin, was a separate unit from the main body of the house, but the subfloor, the joists, it's all continuous. So it's solid wood from there to there, from front to back. It's just the sheathing that is separate from this point out. So one thing that's been problematic since day one has been the doors. They do work, but I've learned a bit about how wood reacts to weather since then. And I had thought that because this was plywood exterior rated, it wasn't going to move as much, but this stuff moves quite a bit. So when there's changes in humidity, when it rains, these will bow. It's not anything that's really hard to fix. I would just need to build a proper door. Of course, when it does bow, the little cabinet latches that I have on here don't lock. So we end up sliding a bar through to lock the door, and that keeps everything put together as it needs to be, and that's fine. But that's a small issue. One of the things that a lot of folks kind of thought I was crazy for doing was the floor is all laminate wood. There's a box framed in right here for the trapdoor, which is how I clean it out. But the floor itself is interlocking laminate floor that we had left over from a different project. And I just figured, you know, even if it causes issues, I can go around and I can cut it out and just put a normal floor on top of these 2x4s and it'll be fine. But here we are, 2 years in. 2 years, I think this is 2 years in. And the floor is still in really great shape. There's spots on it where, you know, chicken poop has gotten through the straw that we keep in here, and even that you can scrape it off, and the floor is in good shape under it. I'm not seeing any of the color, whatever this stuff is, coming off. So I'm really, really happy with the flooring. And I think a big part of that is because the coop stays dry for the most part. Obviously, you can see we've had some issues on the back right there with water wicking up into that. That little wall and all that wasn't designed the greatest, and we have an issue with water sitting in this trough back here. It gets in and then it just sits and it gets sucked up into this board. But so the one place that we do have issues with the flooring is kind of the one place where we also have water issues. So if you look here, I'm sorry, this is kind of a mess. I have to hold the door up. But if you look at the flooring here, you'll see there's a lot of separation. This is going on, and this is really twofold. Or at least there's a couple of different reasons for it. Number one, this is where they lay eggs. So as you can see by all the stuff that's crusty on here, occasionally eggs break. They sit on them. I don't get out here and see it. It gets mixed in. It soaks into the board. The other thing is that since this side, since the nesting box does have some water leak issues, the base that we used to nail the laminate floor to, which is just OSB, this stuff has gotten wet, and OSB doesn't like getting wet. So as this stuff has further gotten weak and disintegrated, it has bowed and kind of caused some of the issues that we're seeing here. Still really not a deal breaker. It's not the greatest, but if I only have to replace the false floor and seal up some leaks in the nesting box, I don't really think that's too big of a deal. So the main reason that I think it works so well is the ventilation. You know, there was actually intended to be another door on this side, and I never did cut it in. I just never got around to it. But anyway, ventilation. So even when this trapdoor is closed, there's a little bit of air leakage around there. So we always have some air coming in from there. There's leakage around the floor where the nesting box is in the back. Not a whole lot, but there's a little bit. Then of course there's the chicken door that's open for the birds to get in and out. We also have these front doors where they clearly are not airtight. And then there's the chicken HVAC system that pulls air basically through the door and then exhausts from the top, the hottest part, of the chicken coop. Now, I still really would like to get 2 more fans installed and get them on the other side over here. But I think that the ventilation is what helps keep this as dry as it does stay in here. And obviously anything that gets in, we have airflow to dry it out. So the flooring has worked really good. Like I said, I think because it stays dry in here, and we can see that where we do have moisture issues, that flooring hasn't done so well, even though it's mainly the underlayment, that OSB, that has more issues than the flooring itself. So the flooring works really well. I think the size of the coop is pretty good for, we've had up to 10 birds in here. That's been really good. The trapdoor is awesome for just being able to scoop everything out and dump it. I still would like to have another door over there, but that's not a deal breaker one way or the other. The roof that we put on last summer, I think, it's holding up, seems to be doing its job. This is all working well. We've had some windstorms. We didn't have like a real crazy tornado season this year, but we did have some wind and some rain, and it's still doing good. So happy with that. The chicken guard has been great. We finally just had to replace the batteries in it for the first time a while ago. The electrical box works, does what it needs to do. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with how this has worked out. Like I said, there's a few things that need to be addressed, and I mean, I could stand here and nitpick pieces and problems and all kinds of stuff, but it's been a really solid unit. Looking at the inside of it with this sheathing, it's pretty easy to tell where we have had issues. But yeah. So anyway, I think we're 2 years in on that, maybe a year in on the roof. Everything's been solid.